Hello, my fellow gaming tankers, and, well, this is for a different game. That's my intro for World of Tanks Mod and Armor videos, so I guess, welcome, potential heaters? That sounds both wrong and also like I need a top off of my coffee. So, speaking of which, because I'm in desperate need of coffee, I don't got any notes for this, so we're kind of just freeballing it here. And I'm going to be... I'm just going to be giving my quick thoughts, because this is another beta test for World of Tanks Heat. So, yeah, they named it after, I guess that's the official name now, no longer Project Cold War. It is stands for High Explosive Anti-Tank. In the real world, I don't know what they're going to... WarGaming is going to do with Heat, for an acronym. But anyway, for the Modern Armor fans, and also for any World of Tanks Heat players who or testers, I should say, and also potential players, you're going to hear a lot about World of Tanks Modern Armor, because the reality is, if you have a console, because while World of Tanks Heat is crossplay on all platforms, World of Tanks Modern Armor is only available on console. And if you've never heard about it, but you've seen videos or play or testing World of Tanks Heat, you should probably download World of Tanks Modern Armor, because that is the only real competition I see for this game. And surprise, surprise, it's a WarGaming product. Because with this type of tank games, there's only two real competitors. WarGaming and Gaijin. So this game, in my mind, is World of Tanks creating its own competition. Hey, I mean, as long as you're keeping all the money in the same pool, great. I don't know. But I'll try not to get too crazy, because again, this is a beta test. Things will be different. But first off, World of Tanks Heat has a firing range, something World of Tanks Modern Armor, after 12 years, yes, 12 years of existence, I say desperately needs. So you can actually get a feel for vehicles and capabilities. Because World of Tanks Heat is supposed to be a hero shooter, which, after playing, I didn't play for the full test, because I sort of forgot I had access to the beta tests. Anyway, this time around, there was a few new vehicles to try out. Few new agents. They're not commanders, they're agents. And I forgot, but then was very much reminded how this game is going to be grindy. So much grinding, because you have 4 tiers with varying abilities for your agent to unlock and improve abilities. And then so much equipment to unlock for the tanks. And that was my first takeaway. It was like, until the very end of the test, when they were like, oh yeah, we're unlocking everything, create different equipment combos, go crazy. Which I think the next time they do a test should have that at the very beginning, so we can really play around, because unlike Modern Armor, where, especially when you get to Era 3, and every vehicle, for the most part, including their MBTs, can relatively hit 65 to 70 kilometers per hour very easily. This game, and what is even surprisingly less arcadey than World of Tanks Modern Armor, is the fact that there's weight to these vehicles. Like, you really, like the M1E1, their future Abrams is so fat and heavy. It topped out at 55 kilometers per hour, and I've just gotten, I need to do a video on the M1A2 Abrams, and how with only the standard upgrades to it, tank upgrades, no equipment, no speed boost or anything, that does comfortably, like, gets to 70 kilometers per hour easily. And, you know, in Era 3 with World of Tanks Modern Armor, it's called they refer to it as like you're playing with go-karts because everything is so fast and handles surprisingly well. The weight of these vehicles, you really feel it in heat. And I was like, huh. For what is supposed to be a hero shooter, playing around in a lumbering vehicle of any sort was kind of like, I really need to grind out some speed boost here. I don't know. So that was like the first thing. Again, World of Tanks Modern Armor Cold War mode. If you're playing or potentially playing Heat, I can't believe I'm glazing World of Tanks Modern Armor, but you should probably dip your toes into that, because this takes place in an altered timeline, and I did discuss this briefly with the developers in one of their previous community streams of, like, is there a sort of time period limit like with Modern Armor, which they should really, Modern Armor needs to get rid of that fast, of they're only Cold War based tanks, although they've broken that rule. But so there is, and they put it basically like, dude, no, we're an alternate timeline. We can kind of do anything. We can have any tank and then modify it. Because, yes, real world be damned, except when it comes to the weight of vehicles. That has to be real. That has to be authentic. My God. Playing this and then playing other shooter, like first-person shooters or any like third-person shooters, like, good Lord, I desperately wanted a dodge feature, but there's no dodge feature because it's a tank. It's a vehicle. You don't just sidestep, okay? There's no, like, strafing, which was very hard not to try to do and be like, ah, shit, I'm turning my tank in all the wrong way and exposing, like, flat sides here. Oh. Anyway, like, this is going to be a rant. But, so that was the first thing, was just the weight. Like, physical weight, not wait times. Wait times are alright. Only had one match, I think, with bots. But, as you can see here, for the World Tanks Modern Armor, this is the Martyr 183, which we do have in Modern Armor. There are some aspects of this game that I think might help Modern Armor. So we have autocannons in Modern Warfare that are somewhat complained about because in certain situations they can absolutely rip a tank apart, and a lot of players feel that that's not entirely accurate. Here I was shocked and annoyed with the 1A3 that not only does it have a 6-round burst fire, but the autocannons, along with they have a Bradley variant, a futuristic one with a ton of ERA on it. They also have a cooldown feature. Like, you can overheat and it'll cool down. I was like, no sustainable fire with autocannons. Huh. Yeah, can't just mag dump and do significant amount of damage. That's something Modern Armor might want to look into. We do have overheat mechanics for certain vehicles, but not all. And also, the Bushmaster, I realize the Bradley on this is the upgrade, like most, I don't even know, it's in development in the real world, if at all, but they got that autocannon was sweet. That Bushmaster had a good sustainable amount of fire, but still had an overheat mechanic. Separated from the Martyr here. And back to the one thing I've definitely found, I think the developers kind of leaning into, which is in all tank games, is you gotta flank. You gotta get around to the soft backside, which was semi frustrating because there were only a few game modes. You had, like, Kill Confirm, which had its pluses and minuses. Domination, and then capture the bases here, whatever. I can't remember the name. But that's what frustrated me, was everything involved all the tanks, all the teams coming into a focused area and butting heads. So if you're trying to maneuver around in large vehicles in a small area trying to get around. Yeah, that was annoying. And then you do have well, these are tanks, so you can engage in long range distance combat in the real world, which is how you want to play, or you think you should play. But some of these points had so much cover that it was like, no, if you want to help your teammate get the kills, reduce the amount of enemies, and then actually help capture the point, you have to get in there because your line of sight is just blocked. You can't shoot anything other than the buildings. So you're forced to get close and personal, which you definitely feel with a lot of the special abilities. Like you can common napalm strikes, bombing strikes, rocket artillery strikes. There's I think it's a C-130 or a Hercules with a laser on it. And then you have UAV, well, not UAVs, but those supers, we'll call them. The true supers, not just the abilities, the supers. So many of them are utterly dependent on the opposing team being detected or you having to be within 100 meters of the enemy team to use. That I was scared to use them because you're calling like the chopper. That agent gets you can call in artillery strike, rocket artillery strike, but the area in which you can designate to be bombed, which is great. You don't have to detect the enemy, just focus area here because I know they're hiding. You have to be within that area, within like eyesight, sort of. So you got to be close in a large tank where there's a cutscene stopping you from moving for even a half second. It's like, this is weird. And then going back to the Hercules with the laser, the pulse laser, which is, we're developing that weaponry. Don't have it, but yeah. First, the enemy has to be detected. Then you have to hold over that detected enemy long enough for you to lock on, and then fire. Keep in mind, and I will be honest, the loiter time of the UAVs, and like here, this is what I was talking about, is very short. Yeah, this loiter time could be increased. Well, at the same time, because I have felt like I have to detect the enemy on my own to actually engage them, I did nothing with that. It's like, you know what, just let me shoot. I can use the laser to destroy buildings and cover. Even though I can see the enemy because we have, like in Mulder Tanks Mod Armor, True Vision. But because I can't lock onto it, or it's not, the enemy's not detected, it's like the game won't let me shoot anything. Like, good lord, give me an actual, like a Reaver C-130 with, a minigun, howitzer, with some grenades. I don't know, something. But that was so frustrating to play and did a lot of waste. Again, I don't. Also, something World of Tanks Mod Armor does have right. There's no switch time between dual weapons or multi-weapon systems like we call them in World of Tanks Mod Armor. You go from ATGM, click the button, boom, you're right back into your autocannon. That I found so weird in a game that was like, yes, time to kill can be short, and that is really weird to have things slowing down gameplay when you want gameplay to be fast and intense. But a switch time? So weird, especially on lighter armored vehicles that, if you're not supposed to be capturing the base, I suppose, but if no one else is capturing the point, you kind of got to do it yourself. So that was something I was like, needs to just go away. Oh god, I don't. It was fun, for me it was like the first half hour, 45 minutes was fun, and then the rest we were just doing the same thing. Kill confirm does break up the gameplay a little bit, but once everyone starts going in one area, you start having to get those kill confirm tags. Everyone kind of just starts piling on each other. Although on certain maps it's easier to snipe, but if no one's collecting the tags, you're not winning and or playing the game correctly. So yeah, Oh god. And this whole time was like, and then I go back to the main page and realize the only thing going up are the credits that you can, oh, sorry about that. The credits you can get to buy the cosmetics. That was comfortably going on. It's like, yay, I can buy camo or skins. But the stuff for like upgrading your tank and upgrading your agent, well, if you're a War Thunder player, you're used to a slow grind. But again, War Thunder players, I honestly think they're gonna look at this game and tell it to piss off. Jeez, like again, if you want historically accurate or based in real world tanks and any which of them, you're not gonna make it past the synopsis on like the WoT game page. Like, no, alternate timeline, tanks with rocket pods and stuff at them. Oh my god, the M1E1 here, and that was another thing about needing to lock on. So yeah, that's a nice minigun. Who here's flashing back to Predator? You think you can do that? First, you have to activate it because it's part of your like commander tank's ability. Your tank's ability. There's commander. You got your agent ability. You got your tank's abilities. So much to keep track of. Definitely see a lot of players just being like, I'm this agent main. I play these tanks. God knows how many more tanks these agents are going to have access to. I don't know. I can see this being on one part already overwhelming. And there were tanks that were taken out of the first test I'd played. And now there are new tanks in. Some are going to be the standard. I think they've got the chopper here, and that M1E1 kind of balanced the way they wanted to. But yeah, that minigun. You have to first detect the enemy tank, which means it has to be close to you. Then it will lock on to whatever tank is already detected or close to you, and will aim just like any good World of Tanks. Well, at least World of Tanks modern armor. It aims right for the middle of the tank. So shooting a lot of good armor and not doing anything. Again, flanking, which is, yes, a tactic you do want to use in tank, or any tank game, but the chopper here, or M1E1, sorry, forgive me for getting agents and tank names mixed up, is you're looking at my top speed of 55 kilometers per hour, and yeah, without, I guess, hull rotation upgrades and stuff, which I do have, you lumber. And good lord, this was for so long World of Tanks Modern Cold War mode, and these type of tanks or MBTs were there's like you're playing go-karts because you move so fast, you turn so well, and it's too arcadey. That was like big complaints from the naysayers, while others were like, this is fun. Well, it's so weird where this leans into the arcade feature versus like basing things in reality, and it's like, oh my god, trying to move in these larger tanks, in fact in all these vehicles, it's really frustrating. Oh, there's the Rakata, or no, that's the agent. There's the Object 287. If you think it has an RPG, no, that RPG is actually a harpoon. So you launch it at a tank near you, and then you ram that tank. Again, there's that part where it leads into the arcade feature. Like, this is an arcade game. This is an arcade tank game, straight up. No simulator. Oh, it's so frustrating. Like, it's not a simulator. Yet you have real world weight physics. Huh. There is a wheeled vehicle this time around. And that is something World of Tanks, in general, really needs to get on. Like, I can't help. There is nothing other compared to other than World of Tanks Modern. I strongly, if you're playing World of Tanks Heat, if you are interested and you've never heard of World of Tanks Modern Armor, and you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, download it. Because nothing else really compares to what, again, it's so shocking. WarGaming, again, is literally, like, directly compete is not competing with Gaijin anymore. They're competing with themselves. And that is where it's just so weird, like, and at the same time, because we're all talking about games we're already going to be playing, do you want another game that has so much freaking grinding? Like, I was like, oh, I checked out the agent. Why are there 4 tiers of abilities and power-ups to unlock? And then looking at the long list, 6 or 7 varying equipments to unlock for a different slot, and it was like, oh my god, that's the grind. You're not grinding tanks, you're just grinding equipment and abilities, but at the same time there's so much grinding already going on in other games, and now this, it's like, I don't know. I mean, and also WarGaming, this is the game where you're not buying premium tanks and spending a ton on premium tanks and, you know, obscene battle passes, but at the same time I'm like, you're gonna sell me boosters? What are you selling me? Your cosmetics for the tanks? Okay, great. Interesting, but I don't know if I want to invest time or money. Maybe a little bit of time, but it all depends on that grind. And I guess, you know, when they're gonna be a XP booster weekend. So that's the real question, is do you have a time in your life for another grindy tank game that, until we have like a team deathmatch or something, you just end up finding yourselves fighting out in another small area and not feel like you're really... God, I wish I'd have dodged. I know. It's so hard to, like... It's just like, why do we... It's... On the backdrop, for if you know, and if you don't know, Steel Panthers was WarGaming's big next free-to-play shooter. That was announced like at the Game Awards at the end of 2023. It was released early 2024, like at the beginning, and then 4 months or so after it was announced, WarGaming was like, yeah, we're shutting down the servers in like 6 months. Or was it 2025? It was 2025 when it came out. Literally, it was like Anthem all over again. Did you even know there was a mech game from WarGaming called Steel Panthers? Or whatever. Steel Hunters! Jesus, whatever. Sorry, I get confused with the band. But, yeah. That was pretty cool, though. When the game breaks, it's fun. Like that. But it's just... visually looks good. Map design, well, maps, mountains and foliage look fine. Tanks look great. Oh, here's my call into my artillery strike. Did you see how close I had to be? And thankfully I put myself behind a hill, and it's kind of walking. It's like a walking barrage, doing something. But that was so annoying. It's like, it's literally just like playing World of Tanks. Is where, why aren't the light tanks detecting the enemy team? I need to see. And if you're confused, like, yes, in the base in World War II mode for World of Tanks Modern Armor, and then regular World of Tanks, they have their vision system. Is where to see the enemy team, a tank has to detect them first to make them visual. So that was like a weird note. Like, I can see them. I can visually see over this hill and see the enemy team. I can just let me use my ability to fire. Like, thankfully, with this artillery barrage, you can do that. But I had to be close. And if there are enemy teams detected, but I'm out of range, it's like, well, this artillery barrage, where you don't necessarily want to be close to an artillery barrage, thank God friendly fire is not a thing, is just... It was like, God dang it. I don't know. I sighed so much. At like half hour into playing this game, every time I started sighing, and Richard was like, why are you holding me back? Was the weird thing. There was the thing. I was like, I'm being held back in a game that is supposed to be less restrictive than the other World of Tank games? It's like, what is your definition of an arcade game? I don't know. I could be just bellyache or not, but it was... Oh my god. So they had the Sheridan was available to play, and there's the M68 no ATGMs. Literally 2 tanks that had a gun launcher on there to launch either high explosive rounds or ATGMs. No ATGMs. I think M68 gets machine guns. The Sheridan, it's special round, and you can't choose rounds, by the way. Good God, I'm shooting AP here. I so desperately wanted APFSDS. I wanted armor-penetrating, fin-stabilized, discarding Sabo rounds. But no. Again, held back. Like, no APDS. Like, ATGMs were designated as, like, for the Martyr was ATGM HE. For the Bradley version was ATGM Heat. I guess that's what the rounds they sort of duplicated in missile form. I don't know. And there was so much ERA. It was like, well, sometimes you did something, sometimes you didn't. But that's modern tank warfare. Where was it? Yeah, the Sheridan had canister shot. You know, the giant shotgun round that wasn't meant to be anti-tank, used predominantly in Vietnam to put how was it sort of described? Like, when sometimes enemy soldiers would get on a tank, the tank behind them would load up this canister round and eviscerate said enemy soldiers trying to get on top of a tank, open up the hatch, and drop a grenade in there. Also, probably good for some defoliation. But not the kind of round you want to be going on and taking on an Abrams. Shotgun rounds aren't known for being able to penetrate many centimeters of armor. Steel, highly improved armor. It was weird. That was the other thing that pissed me off. Like, I'd like to select the proper round, not be forced to playing a subpar round. Again, reducing the time to kill. Like, I was so like, again, it's a beta. It's a beta. It's not full game, but it was just one of the things of like, I don't want a premium round. Thank you for not selling me a premium round, but some of your rounds, when the hell has an Abrams ever carried just an armor penetrating round? Huh? Like, I'm all fine with getting like an M4 Sherman or a Hellcat with that launches a UAV and also has like Claymore rounds stuck to the side of it, so you detonate them, any tank around you gets crippled and damaged. Well, it's the Hellcat's got ERA armor on it, but is that gonna get the like armor penetrating discarding saber? I don't know. Again, these are truly fake tanks. They can go where they want, but at the same time, like, I on the one hand, it's like, no, in all honesty, it's like, I don't know if you're going far enough. You seem to be holding yourself back in such odd ways, WarGaming. It's like they've opened Pandora's box, and that's it. They didn't take anything. They just opened up. It's like, hey, we can go crazy, but we're not going to. Oh God, the Hound. Yes, the Leo 186A1 with 120 millimeter. Now that's a tank you can ammo rack. That was good. That's good. I just, after playing this beta test, I was again, I'm like, maybe if they take out these modes and test other modes for other variations of combat, I might like it, but right now it's just like so much grinding, so much to unlock. Why is it so complex? Why are you complicated? And this didn't have contracts, so there are corporations you'll be working for with their own contracts that are only available to certain agents. I guess. Well, that was the last time, but then you'd have to grind through those to get things and points to only get specialized equipment, which I don't know if that's permanent or they're now going to follow the trend of some, like, not everything is permanent, and at the end of a season everything is reset, like we see with Marathon now, unless that's dead by the time this get. I don't know, because right now the only thing the developers from Heat and WarGaming are doing to drum up interest in this game is just spending months building up hype for this beta test, while actually not fully acknowledging they're working on another tank game. It's how long have I been running here? Half hour. Yeah, I just don't know. And then if you're like never touched any other tank game, I was like, why would an Apex Legend, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Fortnite player come into a game where these lumbering behemoths are doing the same thing your previously nimble player with no grab? Well, there's a grab hook because of the objectivism, but where you just lumber into a certain point and then fight it out, and your ability is just a small, like you launch a small ATGM from your tank at a tank near you, it hits, does little damage, and then your tank. God, they're really trying to find a middle ground between like a tank simulator game and a hero shooter game, and it's such, I don't know. I did like the mechanic now, like we have in WoT Spawn Armor, is the hull patch kit, but they had an automatic hull patch kit that just, it never went away, so you didn't, it was free for this time, but I don't know, that could be another thing where your base income, I don't know, there's several different economy mechanisms going on too that are like, huh? That might be available, you have to buy it in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that was the one thing I took away from this bit, was like, the complexity level here is kind of high. Also, something that I will definitely see is a lot more information is going to be coming around that reticle, because my KPH is at the very bottom in very small print. Although I guess, like I said, you're getting to a point, you're holding a point, you don't really know how fast you're going because you're already there. But if you're trying to rush to a point, good luck with that. It's so frustrating. Do I launch the TV guided ATGM? The one ability I like, because I didn't need an enemy tank to be locked on and detected. I could just kind of fly it in. Oh, I hit a build. I hit some structure. Nope. Because it dropped immediately. Another thing, I was like, could I just find a point away from the conflict and then drop this in at my point and give me like a 10-second loiter time or drop? I don't know. Weird. It's part of where they want the pace of the game to be high paced versus allowing the player to feel like they're participating. Again, maybe again one of those things like you just gotta practice and get used to it, and then yeah, but I don't know if I want the time to do that. All right, I've said my piece on a game that technically doesn't exist yet because it's not released for full play. It's just a beta test. But the question is, are you even interested in another free-to-play grindy tank game that is pushing hard against the simulator portion of tank games and leaning harder into arcade? I don't know. Hey, I guess to put it bluntly, the tanks weight-wise feel real. It's so, I don't know. Anyway, I can't. If you really want to talk about the only other game that can compare to this, play World of Tanks Spawn Armor. It's free to play. It's another. If you're already playing a WarGaming game, go for it. If you have a console, that's a console exclusive. This will be crossplay. Which once this goes live, I can't wait for the dumbass PC hackers to start messing with it and then ruining the fun, but also being like, why would you hack this game to give yourself the ability to see the enemy team at start? I just next time there's another test, I'll give it a try, but comment down below, like and subscribe if you like shooty tank grindy games. And I guess it still applies here. Keep your tracks on ground, and I hope they aren't in your favor. And loiter times for UAVs that detect the enemy team are increased next time around. I'm going to let the rest of this play out in case you have not seen much of Heat or you haven't heard about it, just to see what there is. Yeah, I'm signing off and saying goodbye.
Crops armed. Just trying to outdo myself, not y'all. Overtime. Get in that zone immediately and control it. Enemy track hit. Must stay low for a moment. Green light, your cue. We're making game. They're limping. Round one is ours, but don't get too comfortable. Solid work, Agent. Now keep that momentum.